Come on in, welcome to my home. It's time for my February bullet journal plan with me. This is a great month because we have Valentine's Day coming up. That's okay, but it's also my birthday. I'm excited about that. It's going to be a fun month, but the first thing we have to do is look back at my January bullet journal. Looking at our January monthly, and this is up to the 19th, which is today, so it only goes so far. We're going to talk about the things which work and the things which do not work. Of course, cover page, didn't even try bothering to do much on that. Then we have my trackers, which I have not filled in for the day. Dishes are done, made sure got the dog, all the water for the dog, and that is posted. Alright, so we have my trackers and all of my cleaning. This is working really, really well. I absolutely love this. Absolutely love my Instagram. Habit tracker. Also have not filled in for the morning. There we go. That's what we have done so far today. Not a whole lot. Mood tracker. This is an interesting one. In concept, I liked the mood tracker, the idea of doing all these fancy snowflakes if it was a good mood. However, in practice, it became, I was using this pen, which is way too big of a tip. Should have been using a smaller pen, so in practice it didn't work well, but you can look at it and tell that it's been a pretty good month so far. Alright, let's go to the weeklies. This is where it gets interesting, and this is where we're going to do some changing. So with the weekly, you will notice quickly that I ran out of space on some of these days, and other days had absolutely nothing. My rolling to-do list, which I absolutely love, I mean absolutely love this rolling to-do list, way too big. So that's something to think about. The following week, once again, same thing held true. Ran out of space on some, others were just completely empty. Are we really only in week number 2 of January? Seems like week number 30 of January. And then we have this week, which is coming up. And I just love the way this rolling to-do list works. I love the way this sets up, but when you look at on Saturday and Sunday, I really don't do anything on Saturday and Sunday. So this needs to change, this needs to change, and we're going to change that up. Haven't gotten to week 5. Alright. I do have my exercise journal down in here, and so that way I can keep track of how much exercise I get in the week and what exactly I'm doing. But you'll also notice, which I skipped over this, and I meant to not skip this. Okay, I have a glass or a jar that I actually drink out of, and it has 2 cups of water in it. So when I finish one, it is 2 cups. Well, I only come back to mark this down when I finish the whole jar. So having all 8 of those spots was sort of pointless. One of the things which I also have been doing is, since it's cold and horrible outside, I've been taking a nap. But if I get up and I get 6 hours of sleep, but then I take a nap at some time on a Saturday or a Sunday, then I have to put in an extra dot. That's just kind of weird. So I'm going to work that out. Then there's one other thing. I did have a blank spot here. And this weights, when I do my weights, because I only do those on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you notice there's a lot of empty gaps there which don't need to be there. So we're going to change that up. Alright, we've seen the January bullet journal, now it's time for starting the February bullet journal. All the items that I use to make this bullet journal are listed down below in the description, and so you can use some of the tools that I do, or you can just follow along. Let's jump over to the voiceover. Let's talk setup of our bullet journal. Of course, you start off with your calendar and cover page, and as I've said a billion times, and I'm repeating myself, I do realize, but I rarely ever use this, but I do use it to go back to and refer to. You have to make sure that your setup works for you. If there are special days, maybe you want to signify those. If it needs to have big numbers, small numbers, a quote page, anything which you feel should be in your bullet journal, it needs to be in your bullet journal. And that's the best part about having a bullet journal is it literally is set up for you, and you can do things like turn a theme upside down or on its head. We'll talk about that much later. But yes, I tried to turn the Valentine's Day theme upside down and do something different with it. But I want to stick with the whole colors because the color is what I found important for the month, because I also use that color in my house. I've learned long ago to try to get everything to tie in together. This cover page is super simple, not artistic. Anybody can do this type of cover page, and that's what's so important to me, is that you can look at this and say, hey, it's just boxes. I can make boxes, and I want you to realize that you can recreate these however you want and however they work best for you. When it comes to my to-do trackers or any sort of tracker, it once again has to be things that you want to track, not things that other people tell you should track in ways that you should track them, but they have to be for you. One thing about bullet journaling I have found is it is a lot of trial and error. Why is that a good thing? Well, because you really will find out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and you can tweak it as you go. If you are one of these people who does a weekly setup instead of doing them all at once like I do my whole month instead of just doing 1 week at a time, you will find that, hey, I can tweak each week as I go. If I see a different layout, I can try that for a week, and if it does or doesn't work, I don't have to work with it. That's what I want you always to take away from all of these things, is go ahead, tweak it, play around with it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. You won't know until you try it, and that's what I've found is really cool about this, is the being able to do the trial and error and not stuck with a setup that somebody else thought worked well for them. I've found that if it is visually interesting for me, I'll do it. It also can't be too visually complex, or the way I chart it can't be complex, because if it is, I'm like most people. I won't go back to something that is so complex or takes so much time to chart. I just won't do it. If I think it's wasting my time, I know it's wasting my time, so I absolutely do not do those sort of things. The one thing I'd also want to say is pencil stuff in. Remember to pencil stuff in. You'll catch mistakes when you pencil things in, because there was a huge mistake I messed up on the calendar. I did catch it beforehand, so that way I didn't go through the entire calendar, the entire month, with the mistake in there. And if you're wondering what the mistake was, I used January's calendar instead of February. Yeah, that was an issue. But I made sure that all of these were visually interesting. All of these are really exciting to me, or at least enough that I'm going to get there. And they don't have to be artistic. If you want to go with just a plain minimalist journal, that is absolutely fine. Don't feel that you have to do some sort of fantastic watercolor painting doodles. No, it is your bullet journal. Make sure that it works for you. Make sure that it is appealing to you, and then go with it. Now, a lot of my trackers, you might not have the same sort of trackers that I do. You might not want to track those sort of things. Find out what you want to track. You might find that you want to do more habits or more to-do list, or you might not be tracking your Instagram photos. You might be tracking something else, or you might not be tracking anything at all. Also, make sure that your symbols that you are using make sense. If you're not writing out the whole word, make sure that you can later on go back and look at that and say, oh yeah, if it's not written down in your key, which I always suggest that you use a key, make sure that you have some way of knowing it. I also have to make sure that I can see where the dates are, or how the lines line up, because I have a serious problem at times with those little tiny gray dots, being able to see them that well. Sometimes I can't see the gray dots all that well, so it's hard to get the line straight that way. When it comes to anything like exercise, think ahead for what you're going to do for that month. Think if you're going to be changing things up slightly, if you're not going to be changing things up slightly. plan ahead a little bit. You don't have to plan way far ahead, and that's the cool thing about a bullet journal. You can move it as far ahead as you want to go ahead. Now we are on to the weeklies, and we'll do this one slower. The other ones just repeat the same setup. As I've stated before, make sure that you are looking for what worked before, what didn't work before. I gave myself, of course, more room in this one because, well, I needed it during the week, and on the weekends, well, I didn't really need that much extra space. That's the cool part about that. And that calendar still really does pay off there at the side of it. But now, once we get that done, we go on and do the rest of the weeks. And these are all set up exactly the same. I do like to have my month set up exactly the same. So once I get into that routine, I am all set. And then I will change it up at the end of the month. I like this layout. I might do a different layout next month. I might change it up. But you want to make sure that it is visually interesting to you. If you make a mistake, decide if you have to correct that mistake or not have to correct that mistake. Can you live with it? Small mistakes, it's easier to not correct because it just draws your eye to the small mistake instead of, just leaving it alone and nobody will notice your small mistake. The thing about this is I kept with that theme. It makes it a cohesive month, and that's why I keep my whole month looking the same, is because I do like that cohesiveness that you have for the entire month and the entire month's layout. Now we're ready for the final flip through. February cover page. Using red as the overall theme, and you will see this go through everything. In fact, this will show up in my February house decorating if you pay attention to the videos. So we have the calendar, which I said I almost never use, and just the cover page. Then on my first thing, I have my to-do tracker, which keeps track of the things which I need to do. Everything from washing my dishes, making sure I give fresh water to my dogs, to some exercise, which should go into the habit tracker, but I only do this 2 days a week. So that makes that really, really simple. Habit tracker. This time I did something different. I took out the weight since I only do it 2 days a week, and I put back the water so it is only 2, 4, 6, 8 because I drink them in 2 cups at a time. Yeah. Then I have my sleep tracker, which I did put in a nap time. For my mood tracker, the mood tracker has everything from red is very happy to pink, which I thought was different, is not happy. That's a bad day. Because, well, it's February. It's the month of love. So, yeah, I decided I'd do pink as not as happy. But red, hopefully it'll be a lot of red. This will be really interesting, and I did use the various shades to show the moods. My Instagram tracker, which just lets me know if I have the idea, if I've taken the photo, edited the photo, uploaded the photo, posted the photo, and what it is, or if it's been scheduled. My exercise tracker. This was in a whole different place, but I've decided to do this by month because things change up. I'm going to be adding extra weights, might even add extra exercises, but this way I keep on track of what I'm doing. Then we have my weeklies. These are sort of nice. I did add the extra space, as you can see. Then I did my to-do list, which is the weekly rolling to-do list. So that way I can write down a task, and then I can actually add in what day it's supposed to be done, and then what day it actually does get done. If I have any notes, and I actually have it week 3. I did change that up to second week. I noticed I did like that up there better. And then we have Valentine's Day is signified, and I do keep highlighting the week that we're on because sometimes that actually does become an issue. 17th, and yes, I did catch that mistake. And if you notice that there was a mistake within the dates on there, I did change all of those, I hope I caught all of those. And then we have the last week, which is the week of my birthday, February 28th. I signified that. and I have everything stays the same. It is so simple. I really do love this layout, and if I wanted to do extra doodles, I have the space to do that. With the minor tweaks that I have on my February bullet journal, I think I'm really going to love using this. It follows the same sort of principle as my January bullet journal, but with the little tweaks, it should be even better, and I'm getting a little bit more artsy with it. That's sort of interesting. I didn't think I would ever do that, but it is something that you do not have to get that sort of artistic with it. I do want to know about your bullet journal. Are you bullet journaling? What do you do? How do you do it? Let me know down in the description, and also check me out on Instagram. I do post some of my bullet journal on Instagram. It is one of those fun things to do. And I hope that if this is your first time here, you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. That way you know when I do a new video, and I hope I get to see you again next time. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You can share it. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on this channel. I love making these videos for you, and I hope I get to see you again next time.